Thanks for the opportunity to say a few words on this motion and to bring some facts to the situation that aren't necessarily lies. And Chair, I listened to a lot of speakers here the last while, and people talk about, we come in here every month and we debate and we talk and so on. But no offence to you, but I don't hear any more new solutions coming from all these different motions we have. In fairness, Deputy Morris, you do get down to the detail and the reality of delivering houses. It takes a bit of work. It takes a bit of planning, a bit of organising, infrastructure, picking out sites and all that. It's not just a case of just doing that and they arrive. It doesn't work that way. And our job has been to do that. And it's untrue. And it is untrue.
You've had 8 years.
I didn't disturb anybody. I'm not going to have a row. I didn't come in for a row with anybody. I'm just saying. I'm quoting back everybody else here said about inaction, just talking, no delivery. But that's just not true. And the facts don't back you up, Claire. And it's not that I'm totally, just please, I totally accept there's not a house for everybody. We totally accept the supply issues. We're not saying that it's solved in any shape or form. But it is also not true to say that there's been nothing happening or there's no houses. That just isn't true, because if I can bring you to the houses, and John, you said yourself, nothing, in 3 years since the housing motion, nothing's happened. But that physically isn't actually true, because you're spending taxpayers' money that we all sanction here that is delivering houses, is building houses. Yes, they're not everywhere you want them, they're not enough for everybody, but it is untrue to keep coming in here and saying there's no houses being built. And I listened to this, sorry Deputy Curran, sorry.
You're factually incorrect.
Right. You said there's not. That's what everybody's saying here.
Sorry, Chair, they're not please let the Minister.
I'm listening to it. Everybody's saying here.
You're saying you're relying on the private sector.
No, I'll come back to that second.
I said specifically there were 2,022
yes.
council houses built this year. I acknowledge that.
What? Again, Chair.
I said you failed miserably. I said you failed miserably in terms of your rapid build.
I'm going to go through all that. You let me talk, please.
But you keep saying we said you did
not. No, it's on the record.
Please. Minister didn't interrupt anyone. Now, he's entitled, as everyone here was entitled, to have their say. Nobody intervened with anyone else. Please let the Minister speak.
And I am happy to. I'll go through everyone's query here. No problem, Deputy Curran. And you raised rapid housing. I'll come back to it in a second. But you also kind of made out the impression that since the Housing Committee met here 3 years ago, nothing has happened. But if you listen to what you said, Deputy Curran, I sat here and listened. All I'm saying to you is, and you wanted to have a big, or Deputy Murphy wants to have a big march in a few weeks' time. That's fine, have the marches. But be honest with the people, because the last time there was a big march, I listened to what the message was from the campaign were, and it was to deliver 10,000 social houses. That's what we're doing. Your head, Deputy Collins, you want that. Your motion wants it. That's what's happening in 2019. You've sanctioned that budget. Now, I accept people have a difference in terms of delivery, right? But we're saying there'll be 10,000 additional social houses. About 6.5 of them are in direct bill by local authorities. You don't seem to want to give any credit to local authorities for the work to do with approved housing bodies, for the work to do with all the different sectors and acquiring vacant properties, bringing them back in, Part 5s. That's all work they do as well. And their job is to deliver houses. It's not just to build new houses. Naturally, we want to progress it, that they will build more and more new houses every year. But it is wrong to say you can solve a housing problem by just building social houses from day one and nothing else, because everybody here raises issues with HAP and using the private sector and so on. There are over 40,000 families today in HAP houses. I'd like to ask, has anybody here got a solution for 40,000 people tomorrow? Because there is no other solution that quickly. So yes, we have to use the private sector and rely on them and engage on them in the short term. But it's not that that's the only plan here. The plan is that that will reduce after a couple of years when you get housing supply up. But you have to build the houses first. In the meantime, guys, you have to use HAP or some other form of supports. You don't seem to want it, you don't seem to like it, but yet there's no other solution put forward. And I just bear that in mind, all right? And then in the last couple of debates here, people raised situations with me about somebody in emergency accommodation for 2 years or 3 years or so on. And it's again in the motion tonight. But yet, when I ask for the details, and I go behind those people, I find out there's more to the story. In some cases, they were offered a HAP house. It didn't suit their needs, they didn't want it. In other cases, the geographical area of looking for a council house was very, very small, so it was very limited options to find them a new house. But there's more to the story. And the majority of people do not spend 2 or 3 years of emergency accommodation. Sadly, some do. Sadly, some do. We wish they didn't. But people are given different options, different solutions. That it might now suit their needs. But there's a perception portrayed here that everyone's left in there for 2 or 3 years and there's no solutions. Like, the facts of the matter are, about 5,000 adults, plus their children and their families, left a homeless situation in 2018. And the same number, approximately, just a little bit less, left in 2017. The difficulty is, and the sadness here for all of us, is that just as many came back in again and replaced that. So I'm not denying that at all. I'm just saying it's unfair to all those people who are providing the services, the NGOs, the local authorities, the approved housing bodies and everybody else, to give the impression that nothing is improved. That's all I'm saying. It's just not factually true. And it's repeatedly said that the government only want to use the private sector. That's not true either. We are committed. There is a building programme in place to deliver social houses and to increase the stock of social housing by 50,000 over the next 3 or 4 years. We're at about 20,000 plus on that already. That's the difference in when we started 2.5 years ago, and it'll be over 50,000 when we're finished. And we're committed to going beyond that. But you can only do that over time, because I'm afraid it doesn't work like that. I wish it did, trust me. It would make my job and Minister Murphy's job a lot easier, but it doesn't work that way. The issue about VIDEs was raised. And again, sorry, before I go there, Deputy Bryn talked about our plans of a government doesn't do anything to deliver or to solve the housing waiting list in the long term, because there's 70,000 on it and so on. There's more coming every year. It's funny, but if you check the Sinn Féin plans, which are only plans on paper, nothing really behind it, they want to deliver less than we do. They want to deliver 100,000. Our plans deliver over 120,000, and it's real things, because it's real money. Because the sites targeted, they're being serviced, there's money put behind it, it will deliver houses. So it's actually harder to do it our way because it's real. When it's easier to draw it up, it's still less than what we're going to deliver. So I think let's have an honest conversation here about what everyone's ambition is here to achieve, and let's get real about it as well. In relation to the VIDEs, just to clarify to the House, the number of properties brought back in last year that belong to local authorities that have been lying empty for a year plus, or maybe longer in some cases, maybe in some cases a little bit less, was about 1,760. Is what the number was. For recording, for the facts of recording and delivery of new accommodation, it's 560, because there was a big issue with the committee about a year or two ago when we were counting VIDEs as new properties. We were accused that was massaging the figures and we shouldn't do that. So Minister Murphy made a commitment that he wouldn't do that. He just parked the ones that were originally allocated on the Rebuilding Ireland, which is 560 or thereabouts. But the reality of it is the 1,760. Deputy O'Sullivan on a couple of occasions has raised Limerick on VIDEs. There's money allocated behind them. For some strange reason, Limerick is doing great work, great activity, and delivering a lot of properties. There's an issue around some of those VIDEs that are a little bit more costly to deliver, but that will be sorted out. The money is there to do it, and hopefully to be back in use. But and there's a lot of VIDE properties I still see around Dublin and other places as well that should be back in use as well. Thankfully, most counties have got rid of the VIDEs now with a lot of progress, because there shouldn't be any empty stock belonging to the state. Absolutely, there should not be as well. I won't get to everyone's issue. The issue of Donegal, I have to say, Deputy Pringle, the picture you're painting to Donegal is a little bit different to the one I get back from all the. I'm not saying you're not. Please, I'm not accusing you of saying that, and I'm just saying, I sat with the Donegal people yesterday from the local authority, and we're very clear in terms of the delivery of their houses, what their different options they're doing, and they're making some great progress. I'm very clear with all the rural areas, because we accept it's not just an urban setting, the money is there. So your picture is a little bit different. If it needs to be additional services out of our services, that's something that can be looked at. The funding is there to fund all that, so there shouldn't be any issue. But the picture you're painting is a little bit different to what you get when I talk to Donegal local authority or other colleagues. So we have to join that together, and if there's an issue of services there, I'm happy to make sure that those services are put in place as well. Laois was raised as well, and a perception given that there's no money. I sat with Laois yesterday again, made it very, very clear, so did Minister Murphy, the money is there for emergency services, the money is there to bring in more properties, more new houses, to buy up vacant properties and all that. It's there. Laois didn't say they were short of money to us. And I want to be very clear on that as well. And I can be absolutely clear on this. We recognise that there's a homeless situation, and difficulty of emergency accommodation right across the country. It's not just in cities. We don't differentiate between a rural and urban area. We know the difficulty there. I would have sat with those rural areas 2 years ago when I started this job and said, look guys, this is going to move out, it's going to hit you in the near future. Let's put plans in place. And we're quite happy to have family hubs and different emergency accommodation in everyone's county. But the local authority have to want to do that, have to ask to do that. They are in charge, that the money is there to make it happen as well. So I'm not in any way denying that there's still a problem with housing. Nobody is. But there is a difference in supply. And it is true to say, and I heard this 3 years ago, that when we had the same discussion around the action plan for jobs, and I kept hearing back, they're not real jobs. And sadly, in those days, I actually couldn't physically grab anybody and bring them and show them a job. I'm glad that when it comes to housing, I can bring anybody that has time to do it, and we'll go and visit all these sites, because they are real houses. They are houses that have families in them today. And I think you have to realise that. I have no problem that you want more. I accept that. So do we all. But our job is to actually make that happen, to go across the 251 sites that are active today, make sure the houses are happening, coming out of the ground, and all the infrastructure behind that. Somebody else quoted Mel Reynolds and all the land Mel Reynolds claims to have that he has in Dublin that the state belongs. If you listen to Mel Reynolds and sit down with him and go through all that land, you'll see he also is on about green space and parkland and every other land. It's not just all available for housing. So again, if you're going to quote some experts, see what they're actually saying. Because naturally we want to use our land, and we are using state-owned land, and we'll deliver more housing because we want to. But local authorities literally have gone from 8 times their activity 2.5 years ago to what they are at today. And they'll go, we've asked them to double that and treble that. So, but you have to acknowledge that means putting in place the teams, the people, the infrastructure, the money, taxpayers and so on. It doesn't just happen overnight, but they are committed to doing that, because rightly so, I agree with you. Local authorities should be building houses, and they want to. But the job is to get housing from all the different streams, and they are doing that, and they are delivering.
Deputy Mick